As anyone who has shot a tall building knows, tilting the camera upward to include the top of the building causes the vertical lines to converge, especially when using a wide-angle lens. This can create a soaring composition in any image. Let's try to simulate this effect in Photoshop. I want to make just this cypress tree appear to soar into the sky. What's called for here is some clever masking, distortion, and finally a good cleanup of any leftover artifacts. I'll first duplicate the layer. In order to make a selection of the tree so that little else in the foreground is affected by the extreme perspective we'll be adding, I'll have to create a mask. The mask needs to encompass the object, but have soft edges, so the operation is more or less seamless. I like to use the quick mask mode to establish masks like these, so I can see it as it builds. I'll use the gradient tool to build it up, but first set the blending mode of the gradient tool to multiply. And here goes. The fuzzy edges at the top of this mask indicate partial selection. Because of the multiply mode, you can redo it and sneak up to the edge a little better. Now I'll build it up some more all around. Then switch back to the standard selection mode or type Q. At this point, you can save it off as a layer mask. And this is what it looks like. Just to be sure, you can also delete the corresponding masked areas from the image. I'll Command or Control click the layer mask icon. Then click on the image layer, invert the selection, and delete. This is what we're left with. Now type Command or Control T to access Free Transform. To distort the tree, I'll first increase its height. Notice how we were able to keep the surrounding sky from being affected as well. To introduce a slight convergence, I'll hold down the Command, the Option, and Shift keys on the Macintosh, or the Control, Alt, and Shift keys on a PC, and very slightly move the endpoints inward. Here's a quick before and after view. Before we set upon the cleanup, one thing I like to do in this case is to crop the image so that much of the foreground is gone. This helps to focus the eye on the upward movement that this generates. And now for the cleanup. Target the background layer and use the rubber stamp tool to retouch any artifacts that were left over. Using this clever little option, Use All Layers, in conjunction with the rubber stamp tool, I was able to retouch both these layers to get rid of the most obvious artifacts. Now in the History palette, I'll create a snapshot so we can compare this effect to the original.